Welcome to Mallett and Michelle on Dripping Springs, hosted by me, Michelle Lewis, and Steve Mallett. And today our special guest is Glenna Devonport.
Yeah, she's an entrepreneur right here in Dripping Springs. Started a clothing company, a kids' clothing company in 2020 when the world got locked down from that dreaded disease, which will go unnamed.
You know what? That's better than what I did. I think I gained 15 pounds and wore sweatpants every day.
For about 2 weeks.
For about 2 weeks,
yeah. I couldn't. I was thinking about that. You know, boy, I wouldn't want to go down this road, but there are people now because of the flu, COVID, RSV saying we should lock down again and wear masks. I was like, oh God, please don't let us ever go back to that.
But yeah, there's some weird thing going on, like where people are going in and they're not testing positive for COVID, for flu, for RSV, for strep, and there's like some mutated,
weird virus out there. Holly had it, and it lasts about 5 days. So if you get it, just hunker down.
And if you get it, you better stay away from me.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, it's a long way away from Valentine's Day, but I've got a story here about seller or buyer love letters in real estate.
Valentine's Day is also your birthday.
It is my birthday.
Yes.
And it's a big one. 60.
Oh my goodness.
60, Michelle.
I know. I'm going to be 52 Friday.
Oh,
my birthday's
happy
Friday.
Early birthday.
Thank you.
Or late, actually, when this comes out. But so you've heard of love letters. When people make an offer on a house, they write a love letter, saying why they hope the seller chooses them to buy their house.
I like reading them.
I do too. They don't really do anything though.
I don't know, because you're kind of curmudgeon. I read them like, oh, I would be a sucker for them. So this is a good segment. I would totally fall for it, and you would be like, nope. Show me the numbers.
Well, exactly. So if you were selling your house and I came over and I said, well, this one's at $1 million and this one's at $950, but this $950 one's got this great letter, and look, they got a dog and a couple. Oh, they got twins. Oh, look at that. You're not going to take the $950. You're going to take the $1 million.
I don't know if the letter was good enough. You never know.
No, you're not. You're gonna. I don't see it. I'm a
sucker.
Well, there's a couple of states that have actually one state outlawed these love letters. Oregon, the Oregon state legislature.
There's no love in Oregon.
No love in Oregon. Oh, there you go. Title of the show. They came up with this law and making it said it was discriminating to have these letters. And I guess the idea is, if you put something in your love letter about who you are or where you grew up, or, all of these protected classes, which, religion, race, gender. I
see that point a little bit. But yeah, I mean.
It's a pretty jaded way to look at the world.
But the thing is like, I should be able to sell my house, my car, my dog, my whatever to anybody I want to. Not the fact that I'm, being, discriminatory, but like if someone gives me a nice enough little sob story or whatever, and I fall for that, and maybe their offer was $20,000.
That's not discrimination. Discrimination would be.
But I think somebody could take it as that, because if they gave me a letter and they're like, oh, they have 2 kids and this one's a single guy, I don't know.
I still think, so the backstory on this is this Oregon real estate brokerage sued the state attorney general and the legislature, I think, in Oregon, and a federal judge overthrew it, blocked it. So they're not upholding it anymore. I guess the law is still in place, but the Texas Real Estate Commission, the Oregon Real Estate Commissioner is not enforcing it. So now love letters are legal in Oregon.
I'm trying to think if it was like, let's just pretend it was a requirement, right? How would you spin your story? Because now we're different. We're each in different.
This is the way I'd spin it.
Oh God, I want to hear this.
I love your house. I'll pay more for it than anybody else.
The end.
The end. Love, Steve. Serious. I mean, me, I'm all business. How would you spin it?
I'm just trying to think. I would probably say something sappy about being very sad to lose, or not to lose, but to leave our family home. And now my husband and I are trying to find a home for just the two of us, where we could also welcome our children and grandchildren and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I would be more of the sappy heart.
You would. And when you're writing these love letters, you're also taking a chance that the person on the other end of receiving that letter is more like you than they are like me.
Well, there's
right?
always one of you and there's one of me, right? In almost
That's
every
true.
couple,
Almost
isn't there?
every successful
So
relationship.
maybe you
that's true.
gotta marry the two. Your love letter has to be like, if you're a couple.
Michelle, at the end of the day, the bottom line is how much money is it putting in the seller's pocket? They might read that letter and go, oh, that's really sweet. Oh, look at this cute little family. Okay, show me the numbers.
Okay, but now let's play devil's advocate. It's the offers are exactly the same.
Exactly the same.
And you have one love letter and one non-love letter. How are you going to distinguish between the two? Don't you think the love letter is going to get you a little bit? Because look, now we're in the Airbnb business, right?
Yes.
We like reviews and we like
another business we started.
Yes. Oh, we just love the fact that you provided everything for us. All we had to do was bring our clothes.
Right.
That was it. That's a love letter to us almost, right?
Sure.
So wouldn't you feel...
If they're exactly the same and you have one letter from somebody saying, I really want your house because of these things, that might be an advantage to you, but I don't, yeah.
How about your
but
linoleum floors
It's usually
suck?
not like, it's usually not like that. It's usually one offer, even if it's slightly better,
Yeah.
it closes a week earlier. They don't ask for any closing costs, or they pay the title policy or something. There's one is almost always better than the other.
Well, you know what?
Even when you have 40 offers, there's one that usually stands out.
That's why in this working relationship that you and I have, you're the realist and I'm not.
I'm the downer and you're the upper.
I'm just like, I'm the hugger.
This judge actually threw it out because it's a First Amendment issue. And he said, you can't stop people from speaking their mind, basically.
Interesting.
But there are other states looking at doing it.
Well, that's interesting. Well, I wanted to bring a new little segment to our show. I know that you and I, we've come off a really good year.
It has been a great year.
And we've learned so much. We've talked about this before. But, there's always things that we can improve on and make ourselves be better hosts.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about this over the long 4-day weekend. And I want to start a new segment called Weird True Facts. And I'm going to throw something at you. And what is
Weird True Facts?
Yeah, write that down. Just
write the
acronym down. Write the first letter.
WTF.
There you go.
Yes.
So,
okay. Weird True Facts.
Weird True Facts. And so I'm going to just have you blind react to things that I'm talking about. And one of the things
I'm a little nervous.
Well, no, this one is very interesting because I think this one hits near and dear to your heart. I did a little deep dive on identical twins, or not identical, but just twins.
Twins.
And because I saw this little snippet, and did you know that children of identical twins are legally first cousins, but genetically they're half siblings?
Really?
Yep. It's because
wild.
their DNA is the same.
The same.
And so it's basically like they have the same mom but different dads.
So Holly and Casey have the same DNA?
Yes, they have the same DNA. Yes. But identical twins, they share the same DNA. Everything
Holly's my wife. Casey's her twin sister.
Everything exactly the same except their fingerprints. Identical twins have different fingerprints. Yeah. And so I just started doing this little deep dive is because Tate, when he was little, he had something called a teratoma cyst. Mm-hmm. And what we were told by the pediatrician and the surgeon, he had it surgically removed. Yeah. It was a vanishing twin. So he absorbed a twin. So we like to say that Tate ate
his twin.
Ate baby. He ate it. But I mean, it's a lot more technical than that. It's
That's
different.
A WTF.
Yeah, it's different from a dermoid cyst. But identical twins have, like I said, they have different fingerprints. But did you know also that everyone has the same chance of having identical twins? 1 in 250, or just twins in general.
Really?
1 in 250.
I did not know that either.
The highest rate of twins ethnicity are Nigerians, but the lowest rate are Japanese.
And did you find out why that is?
No, I didn't. No, didn't. But fraternal twins, have you ever heard they say that twins run in families? Mm-hmm. Well, only fraternal twins can run in families, and only on the mother's side is because the mother carries the egg.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it's like when you have fraternal twins, 2 eggs or 3 eggs or whatever have been released. But Caucasian women, especially over 35, have the highest rate of higher order multiple births, meaning triplets or more. But that is also said, believed to be said because there's more interventions that are going on now, drug interventions, IVFs and things like that. But
the twin thing is fascinating to me. So Holly and Casey, obviously twins, identical twins, and they have this relationship that I've never seen before in siblings. They're so close, but they have certain parts of their who they are as human beings where they're almost exactly the opposite, but they complement each other. And they have this weird connection where sometimes if Casey's going through something really difficult or Holly's going through something difficult, the other twin experiences that. It's a weird thing.
They were also saying that identical twins can kind of speak, and they use this term loosely, but tongues, they have their own language. And they actually start bonding in utero.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's the more I started going deep dive into it, what was the other thing I said? Oh, Michigan has the highest twin birth rate in the United States.
Oh, God, I'd love to know why that is.
Right? And female twins are more common. And although men can inherit the gene from their moms, and they can pass it on to their daughters. So like that's far as fraternal twins.
Right.
Too. But
twins are fascinating.
Yeah. So I just thought this was kind of a cool little segment.
Yeah.
Some weird true
There's
facts.
another thing about twins that's interesting is when I'm traveling with Holly, if we meet somebody and they discover that Holly's a twin and they're also a twin, there's like this instant bond. Oh, I'm a twin. Yeah, my brother lives here, blah, 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 blah. It's like they instantly connect, no other way.
I went, I didn't go deep down into this one, but there is, and I can't remember what it's called, but when identical twins, let's say Holly and Casey married identical twins, let's say you had an identical twin.
Ooh, my mind's blown.
And those cousins, those first cousins, those children are half sibling, the cousins.
Wild.
But it's even more convoluted than that because the dads are here. I don't know. That was like a whole other deep dive. So I was like, oh.
That sounds like a master's education right there.
But so welcome to Weird True Facts.
I like that. We're going to do that every week.
WTF.
Yeah, WTF. Hey, I've got something right up your alley. 10 horrifying home design trends that came out in 2022 or that went away in 2022. This is stuff in homes that we'd all like to kind of see go away.
Okay. Can I comment on them?
You can comment on I actually, please do.
Okay.
I want you to.
Okay.
So the first one, and I know you're going to jump on this, but the classic farmhouse look. And the reason I know you're going to jump on it is because your house has a farmhouse look, but this is different than what you have.
Yeah, mine. I think of a classic farmhouse look where that you have signs with words on them.
That's exactly right. The
everywhere.
kitschy signs that live, love, laugh.
I did.
Like that.
Okay, now full disclosure. A couple of years ago when the trend first started, I did, and I had this big sign that said farmhouse, and Tate used to make fun of me all the time. Oh yeah, we live in a farmhouse in High Point in a gated community. Yeah, we live in a farmhouse, Mom. So yeah.
Well, the signs are out. The sort of shabby chic thing with that is out, but that's number 10. Number 9 is vessel sinks. I never liked vessel sinks. You know, the ones that look like they're sitting on the counter?
No, those are a nightmare to clean.
That's exactly right. They're a nightmare to clean. I think they're not very functional.
They take up more counter space.
Oh, much more.
Yeah, but I mean, aesthetically, they kind of looked cool. And you could remember we went into one house that was like this underlighting and the sinks lit up?
Yeah, that's right.
They're cool. They're not very functional.
No, I agreed. Number 8, matching furniture sets.
I totally agree with that.
Everything matches. It's all beige or green.
That's very 1990s. And I think I read something about our generation, my generation, and a little bit like Logan's, because we're inheriting more and more furniture from our grandparents and parents.
Yeah.
So we're trying to incorporate those into our design. And it's okay. You don't have to go to rooms to go and get the coffee table the same, the side tables the same. And I'm all about like, if you like it, if that's your style, you don't have to fit in some little box. If you like that style, let's see how we can incorporate it and make it flow.
Right.
Not necessarily make it stand out.
You're very good at that.
Well,
I don't have any eye for that. That's not my talent. Okay. Number 7, appropriate in your cabin, but nowhere else, cowhide.
I can say you can do cowhide, classy. If it's like
classy cowhide.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I can see like in an office where I'm doing it under a desk, but if like my bar stools are cowhide and my couch is cowhide.
That only fits a certain style house.
I agree, but you can also make it more modern. So yes, I say overdoing.
You can only have one.
Prints.
If you have one cowhide, you can only have one. You can't have one.
And you can't have live, laugh, love on the wall.
Rainfall shower heads.
I hate rainfall shower heads.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because have you seen my hair? Because I do not.
You can't get your hair wet.
I don't wash my hair. My hair is straight. I don't wash my hair all the time. Okay, so I don't like something that's coming straight down. I'm gonna have to take a shower.
And the reason it was number 6. In this article, the reason it was explained was there's no water pressure. It just sort of falls on you. So like with your thick hair, it's probably really hard to get out conditioner and all that kind of stuff.
And I take all the little filters out of all of our stuff.
So you get some water pressure. Venetian plaster walls is number 5.
Yeah, I could see that, but there's also a modern way to do it. So what they were doing in the past, they were mixing it kind of like with a tobacco color, and you would kind of have like almost an ombre look. It was like dark and light, and it really kind of accentuated.
Don't you think people are looking for more clean now, though?
It's very clean line, but you can still, if you have Venetian plaster on your walls now, I'm not going to tell you to scrape it off if that's something you like, but I think that we can play with the color and we can elevate it and make it a little bit more modern instead of making it look like you live in Olive Garden.
Which is exactly what it would look like.
Yes.
Number 4 is wallpaper murals. And these are...
Nope.
They're out.
Nope. Okay.
No. So you're thinking accent walls.
Well, murals in the sense that like if you have a child's room and you have a giant unicorn or a tree. So if you did a child's room, look, when you decorate your kid's room, that's only going to be a 2-3 year process. So don't spend, tons of money on that because your kid's going to want something different. Kids' rooms, I think, are totally okay. But I think, do you remember the days? I remember when I first met Todd and he took me to this office he used to work at, and they had like a scene of Hawaii on the wall. That's where I'm thinking, like, you remember those the old, those kind of, but wallpaper is in right now.
So it's in as an accent wall, right? We saw a house recently in the primary bedroom. The bed was up against the wall, and behind it had this blue, like navy blue wallpaper with these gold accents, which doesn't sound great, but it was actually cool. So
there is a school of thought that accent walls are kind of just totally out, but I am seeing, like in my own house, we have high wainscoting.
Yeah.
It's not like the traditional chair rail. It's really high. It's like up 6 feet, and our walls are 10 feet. Our ceilings are 10 feet. So I have 4 feet or so of just blank space. I'm seeing now where they're doing those high chair rails, wainscoting, and right up at the very top, they're putting wallpaper up there. Just up at that top. And so maybe wallpaper is in. There's a lot of texture wallpaper now. So yeah.
Well,
wallpaper. What you're thinking of wallpaper is like geese and blue bows and maybe cows.
I have a story for you about wallpaper. So when I first got into real estate, showing a house in South Austin and in Legend Oaks, I walk in there, this lady, she's walking in the house behind me. I go in the kitchen and it's covered in this light blue wallpaper with stripes and little cherries, like every batches of cherries, like every 6 inches. And I looked at it and I thought to myself, that's the ugliest freaking wallpaper I have ever seen. And the lady I was showing the house to walks in behind me and she goes, "Oh my God, I love this wallpaper." And I was like, oh, there's a lesson learned in real estate. Sometimes you just got to shut your mouth.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
Okay, number 3. I never thought these ever came back in style. Tile countertops. Apparently those came and went again. I think tile countertops are useless.
I think it's gross. It's disgusting. And the reason why, not only aesthetically, but the grout. You can't get them clean. And I think the trend now is more clean, sterile.
Yeah.
You know,
now, a lot of cultured countertops too. Even granite is not as popular as it used to be.
Granite is actually, believe it or not, coming back because
but probably more
not the traditional, like, the real busy granite,
right.
but the reason why is because granite is more durable. And I know myself because my freaking quartz countertop cracked over my.
Oh, that's right.
It was either my dishwasher or my slow cooker, the crock pot that did it.
Wow.
Yep.
And I always worry about that.
And you take something off the stove and you can put it right on a granite countertop.
Yeah.
Quartz, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So it's coming back.
All right, 2 more. Jungles of greenery, like, a room that has 57 plants in it, some of them plastic, some of them real.
That's kind of a boho design, where it's like a lot of big leafy fig plants. But I think kind of peppering your design with plants
okay,
versus
but not a
salting
jungle.
it. Yeah, not a jungle.
Remember for a while there was this trends, people were putting those like walls of plants.
Yeah.
You'd order that thing. It was like 6 feet by 6 feet covered in plants. Those are out.
I just think like a mold issue.
Yeah. All right. And the number one thing that is going away in home design trends is the cloffice. The office cloffice. No. The office / closet.
Oh, the cloffice. I've never heard
cloffice.
It. That's pretty funny.
Because when COVID came, all these people had to work from home. Most of them didn't have an office, so they found the next biggest room in the house that they could take over, and so they went into their closet and put up shelves. And remember, we were visiting with our friend Alan, and he has a
cloffice.
He has a cloffice.
You know what I'm starting to see more of that new builders are picking up on is they're doing away with the formal dining and they're replacing it with the office. And that in you're dealing with buyers, that's the number one thing that they're looking for is, does it 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath with an office. Yeah. That is the most popular type of floor plan.
It's funny because people still want I hear it all the time. They still want a formal dining room, but it's probably the least used room in the house, the formal dining room.
Maybe. Yeah, I guess it is.
The breakfast area is probably the most used for dining.
I use my dining room a lot when we have gatherings.
But when you have gatherings, which you do a lot, and you do it very well.
Well, thank you.
Let's take a little break and get Glenna in here. I can't wait to hear about her journey to start this company and what motivates her every day. So hang on, sit tight. We'll be right back.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallett Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at mallettintegrityteam.com. And now here's Steve and Michelle.
And we're back with Glenna Devonport. Welcome to the show.
Hi, welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. We're excited to have you on. You actually reached out to me, a couple months ago, so we've been preparing to get you on the show, and it's exciting that you're finally here.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I had a girlfriend send me y'all's podcast. I was like, hey, you're a local drip girl and just started a company. This might be good for you. Okay, let's do it.
And you're kind of a rarity. You're born and raised.
Wasn't born, but I was raised. So I started here in first grade. But I like to think that's pretty far back.
That's pretty far back. Where were you born?
I was born in Jacksonville, Florida, actually.
Okay.
My dad was in the Navy, so we moved around a little bit. And when he finished his 10 years, my parents just wanted to figure out where they should settle. And we ended up in Austin. My mom interviewed a bunch of superintendents around the district, and Dripping Springs was her pick, and I think that was 1989.
Is she a teacher?
No, she's not. Just education's very important to her.
And why Dripping Springs?
The field, the small town back then. I think we were barely 3A when I moved here. And she just loved the community aspect, and kind of everybody knew everybody. So they bought a lot in Sunset Canyon and built and went off to the races.
Are they still there?
No, they're actually divorced now.
Sorry.
So I've probably they're very happy now. It's great. So I lived in a bunch of different neighborhoods in Dripping Springs, but my mom is still here. She and my stepdad live off of Fitzhugh, and my dad moseyed down to New Braunfels. He's from San Antonio.
So they're still in Texas.
Well, there's a funny little story too about who your stepfather is also.
Yes, I feel like that kind of keeps my roots in Dripping Springs. my senior year of high school, my mom got set up on a blind date with the principal of the high school. So from one of the teachers.
What a nightmare.
Yes.
If I was in school, like, great.
So I didn't know that because she liked to keep it pretty private. She didn't want to introduce anyone to her kids until it got serious.
Smart.
So I think they had been dating a while before we found out. And when I found out, I was like, okay, this is interesting. Luckily, I wasn't a super bad child, so I had never gone to his office because I was sent there. He proposed to her Christmas, my senior year. And so it was just, it was, I think, a different experience my senior year of high school than most people have. I would go to his office then kind of anytime I wanted and hang out. I can remember I had an AP test and I did not have the money to do it because I had just forgotten about it. And I walked in his office and said, hey, Greg, I need $50 for this AP test or my mom's going to kill me. And he forked it over and I was like, okay, I can really use this to my advantage.
I'm going to use this.
This is great.
I'm surprised you called him Greg on the campus. I bet I'd be surprised you didn't go, no, call me Mr. Young.
I might have said Mr. Young in high school, but I think the day I graduated, I moved to Greg.
You should. Yeah. Where'd you go off to college?
Texas State, not too far.
Okay.
So still close to home.
And that's where you met your husband.
And that is
too.
where I met my husband. Yeah. Yep.
What'd you study?
Psychology and business. So I really...
Can you help Michelle out?
That could be fun.
Do I need the psychology?
You need the psychology.
I'm here for you if you need to talk.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
And when
you.
you're done with her, help me help
need a
so I can
helpline.
be
Let's
okay
do
with her.
Well, I worked at a treatment center for a year and decided I did not want to be a psychologist. So the St. Margaret's Treatment Center was for adolescents.
Yeah.
And it just really made me sad. I was there for a year, maybe my junior year of college, and decided, okay, this is scary. I kind of feel bad for these kids. So I went into sales because that's what everyone does after college when they don't know what to do. So.
Yeah.
Sold Cutco knives.
Yeah. So you got into sales at what company did you go with?
I worked in healthcare for a while, so I moved to Houston. I spent a couple years in Houston, and that was great, but I really wanted to come back to Austin. So maybe 3 years later, I moved back to Austin, to Central Austin, and stayed there, and then slowly moved farther west as I had kids. So,
Did you know that you wanted to end up back in Dripping Springs? Or are you like my
No,
kids? Because my kids were
absolutely not.
like, I will never come back to Dripping Springs. And now
I think
like,
that's exactly
this
how
is where
I
they
was
want to
too.
come back.
During college is when I met my husband, and I would bring him home. He's from Plano, very flat, just concrete. Everything's a chain. And when I brought him back here and we were driving down Fitzhugh, he's like, wow, this is beautiful. I want to live here. And I'm like, oh, really? Like, this is like Hickville. No, which obviously it's not now.
Did you feel like it was Hickville when you were growing up?
I felt like it
kinda was.
pretty country.
Yeah.
We were our own little bubble. I mean, you definitely had to go into Austin to do a lot of things. At that point, we only had IGA grocery. There was no HEB.
That was before Super S. Was it IGA?
And then Super S. And we would go into the Y, which we would call the big HEB, which is the one that is now closed down.
I call the Ghetto B. That's the
Then
one I
it
call
turned
it.
into the Ghetto
B.
HEB once Stripping got one. But yeah, I never wanted to come back growing up. But now that we are back, I mean, it's a beautiful place to be. And
What did you like about growing up out here?
The freedom.
Yeah.
It felt like it wasn't too small of a town where there wasn't enough of activities and UIL sports to play and all that fun stuff, but not big enough where you didn't know everybody. I think I was right on the cusp of probably being able to identify every single person in my grade if we were out and about. And that's kind of, the 200 to 300 mark of the graduating class. And so that was really nice. It's like everyone kind of knew everybody, but wasn't all in their business.
I noticed a big change in the last, I'd say 5 years, because I've been here since 2003. And when I used to go to HEB when it first opened, it was like a 2-hour trip because you would see 50 people that you knew. And, you stand there and talk in the bread aisle or whatever. And I don't see near as many people I know over there now.
I think
it's a lot bigger town.
It is. It's a lot bigger town, but we're still trying to stay that small town, feel, community feel, like Christmas on Mercer, is coming up. I'm really excited.
Something that bugs me about that. When I walk into HEB, when I'm going down the little aisle between the cars, heading towards the front of the store, and somebody's walking the other way, I still say, hi, how you doing? Good morning, good afternoon. And man, most people don't even look at you anymore.
It's
Can we
just
change
you.
that,
Keep
please?
doing
It's
that.
just
you. Gotta
you.
keep doing
Maybe
that.
that's what it is. Maybe I look like the creepy old guy walking in HEB.
Glenna, what do you hope for your kids that you had growing up in Dripping Springs? Now you're raising your 2 boys here in Dripping Springs. So what do you hope to have that maybe you don't see other people that I guess they feel like Dripping Springs has lost?
Well, I think a little bit about what we were talking about before we got on air, where there's a sense of community where we kind of help each other with our kids. And we're open to speaking up about if we see a kid doing something that probably isn't good behavior, about saying something to that kid and not being really worried that another parent is going to get upset about that. I really do believe it kind of the phrase, it takes a village
Yes.
to help grow a family and have a good kids. And I believe that. And that's kind of one of the reasons we moved into a mass development. I think my husband was a very anti-mass development, anti-HOA person. But it's been kind of the greatest thing for us with 2 young kids. And I hope that sense of community stays without feeling, like you're just one in 1,400 people, like it was the number of kids that my husband graduated with. So
That's why we chose where we chose too. I think my youngest, she was in 2nd grade when we moved out here to Dripping Springs. And, we looked at property with land and stuff, but, having 3 smaller kids, I wanted it where they could just pop out of the house, go to the neighbor's house, go down the street and do whatever. And that's kind of what our community, that we both live in the same community, offers to us. And it has changed.
it's changed.
When I first moved here, I talked to some people that lived here that had kids in the school, and they were saying that there wasn't a lot of activities for the kids, and that sometimes that could lead to trouble. Did you find that? Did some of your friends maybe get in trouble?
That. I mean, I played every sport. I was in Girl Scouts. That's the other thing about the small town. I probably wasn't the best at every sport, but because it was a small town, you're able to play every sport.
What year did you graduate in?
2004.
Okay.
And so growing up till maybe freshman year of high school, I played, volleyball, basketball, soccer, tennis, swimming, track, and Girl Scouts.
You don't have time to get in trouble when you're doing all
No,
that.
you don't. I grew up mostly in Sunset Canyon, and so it's a fairly larger neighborhood. We rode bikes everywhere in that neighborhood, and I feel like nowadays, though, it'd probably be pretty scary to drive your bike up and down North Canyon Road.
Yeah, people driving 50 miles an hour on all those blind curves and stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
And then, so you were working for, was it a Fortune 500 company that you worked for?
So I worked for a healthcare company that got purchased by Kindred, a large Fortune 500 company, and stayed there for a while. That was hard work. That was a lot of long hours from getting acquired and then having to integrate 2 companies. And they actually acquired about 6 companies at the same time. And so we were all having to integrate ourselves. And during that time, I got pregnant. So with my oldest, and on that maternity leave, I did not go back, which was a great decision.
Yeah.
I feel like after that, life really improved. We're always trying to find that happy medium of everything.
Corporate just
that
wheel
grind.
Yes,
that was
difficult.
difficult.
Old. It's hard on a family too.
It is.
Were you still in Houston at that time?
I was in Austin at that time.
Austin,
that was a
okay.
couple years after I'd moved back from Houston.
Where did y'all live in Austin? Like what side of Austin?
We started in South Austin and then moved to Oak Hill and then back out to Dripping.
I feel that people have lived in South Austin. They're like, this is the way I am. It's like, I will never live up in North Austin.
No, that's
ever.
Waco.
Yeah. If you've moved away and you've come back, it's like you're always going to kind of stay south,
north
southwest.
of 35th. I don't know where I am.
Yeah. Nope. Got to get your passport.
I think all
sent.
those people up north say the same thing about everybody down
They
south.
can-
Probably.
Like,
Please.
I'm not living down south.
Stay up
Probably.
there.
Yeah.
Stay
Those
up
are the
there.
weirdos.
So you didn't go back after your maternity leave, and then what prompted you to start this company, your cool little one?
Sure. So I was doing some business development for a construction company during 2018-19, right before COVID. And while I was on maternity leave, so March of 2020, I got, the dreaded phone call from my boss that I had been laid off, and, he had to make numerous calls that day.
This was March of 2020,
March
right?
of 2020.
Right as
Right at the
COVID
beginning.
hit?
Right when it hit.
Okay.
So he was an early adopter to kind of let's skim everything because all of the projects had gone dry. So that was my role, was to pull in new projects. And I think half of them had pulled out.
Sure.
And so now I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with my life? So I had a 3-month-old and a 2-year-old home with me full time. Of course, all the daycares and everything were closed down. And all we really did was play in our backyard in High Point where we live. We used the hike and bike trails a lot, and they were always sweating. So I was like, okay, I need to fill my time. I'm going to start sewing some moisture wicking clothes for them out of my workout clothes and some headbands. So I went on YouTube, just kind of taught myself how to sew, which I'm not a sewer. That's not at all defines me or something you would think if you know me. But it kind of felt like it was another creative outlet that I hadn't been able to exercise in a while, which I really enjoyed.
It's amazing what you can learn on YouTube. This whole
everything.
setup right here that we have in our podcast studio, I've learned on YouTube.
Really?
It's amazing.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Anything.
I think is funny is that during the lockdowns is that everybody was either sewing, making bread, like sourdough. There was something
Home chef.
Home chef. They were doing projects. And so your hobby turned into a business.
It did. So I started with so I used my workout clothes as the fabric. I'm like, okay, us as like women, we have all this nice like Lululemon workout clothes that are moisture wicking, 4-way stretch, UPF safe. And there isn't a lot of that on the market that isn't swim clothes geared for kids.
Okay.
Or it's just kind of plastered with the Nike symbol, the Reebok symbol. So I found some cute prints I had of my workout clothes. I started sewing some onesies and they got popular among some friends. They worked. One thing that helped is when, the kids get wet and go to a splash pad or a park, you don't have to change them. With cotton, it stays wet for a really long time. With this material, it dries really fast. So I started sewing some more. I was not confident enough in my abilities to resell my clothes because I was like, okay, they could fall apart.
Yeah.
So I got a
kind of
seamstress.
just making them for friends.
I was just making them for fun as a hobby. Yep. And with some matching headbands, they were super cute. I found a local seamstress. I asked her to do a big bulk order and it was way too expensive. So my mom, being the biggest support she is, was like, okay, let's try to go find a manufacturer. So we flew out to LA. I had done some due diligence before and called some fabric stores and manufacturers.
Step.
It was a huge step because I know nothing about this industry. Everything was just from Google or trying to find people that knew somebody in the manufacturing or apparel industry to pick their brains on the phone or through email. So we go out to LA, maybe that's end of 2020, having to wear the masks and everything. And we walk all around the art district, which was a little scary, going into every single fabric store, sourcing fabric. And we would kind of look and see, okay, where did they buy this fabric? Because I want to buy it wholesale. This is way too expensive.
Yeah.
So secretly kind of taking pictures, making notes, going back to the car, making phone calls. And eventually we found some wholesaler fabric stores. And at the same time, I was asking all the fabric stores, who's your top manufacturers around here? So then I went and got to interview some manufacturers face to face and just kept moving forwards every day. Wow. So eventually found a good fit for a manufacturer that specialized in kids' clothes, workout clothes. Found some top fabric stores to buy through and just kind of kept moving forwards.
I have a question about the fabric. You mentioned earlier the UPF, the ultraviolet protection factor versus the SPF, the sun protection factor. How do you know what fabric is going to be able to do the job that you need it to do? I know like what colors are best for sun protection. And I mean, when you're going into these large fabric stores with just bolts and bolts and bolts of fabric, what are you drawing your eye to, or are they specifically targeted for that?
Well, so clothes they're UPF. Okay. SPF is the low.
So
sunscreen.
just in general, clothes are UPF, right?
Not
or
all clothes.
Not all clothes.
No, they have to. It depends on the way that they're kind of built. They're layered on top of each other, and then there's some aftermarket coating.
Okay.
Like cotton is usually a UPF 5. It's very loose. It's comfortable, and the sun can penetrate through cotton because there's so many holes.
Regardless of the color?
Regardless of the color.
Okay.
But UPF, which similar to like a kid's swim rash guard, the fabric is kind of, it lays on top of each other like if you were to put your fingers crosswise.
Like a weave.
And they're much tighter. So less sun penetrates there. Okay. And then there's a coating they can add to it. So clothes can go, if they're a UPF, can go up to like 5 to 50. And so
the clothes can go up to UPF 50?
The ones that I make are UPF 50. Wow. And so it blocks, a very large portion of the sun that can beat down on your skin, which is important to me. I had some skin cancer issues and had to get some skin removed.
Yeah.
I lifeguarded at the Founder's Pool every summer in high school and probably wasn't wearing enough SPF.
You're very young too. So you've had it early. You need to watch that the rest of your life.
Yes.
Does that coating that you're talking about break down after washes?
I don't know. I have not heard anything from everyone that I've spoken with and the research I've done. I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I would assume at some point you want to move on from that garment.
Just like any type of garment, when you're washing it over and over and over again, the fabric is going to break down a little bit. Kids, especially kids' clothes, they're going to, by the time it breaks down, they're probably grown out of it also.
I would assume with the elements beating on it, that can happen. But I'm not sure what the science is there.
When our
Still
kids
better
were
than kids jumping in the pool.
Well, yeah, because
with just a pair of
think
trunks
about
on
it. When our kids were little, did you think about that? I mean, like I would spray them with, sunscreen or whatever, but I am seeing more and more kids now wearing sun shirts or
the long sleeve rash guards, the hats.
Absolutely.
Well, because the sunscreen, even if it's waterproof, if they're playing in the pool all day, eventually it wears off. And usually you don't realize it's worn off until their skin starts turning red.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So my idea was kind of to take that. I mean, you're out in the sun at the park too, so we need to be wearing the same clothes anytime we're outside.
Yeah.
And I want to make cuter prints. There's not a lot of cute prints out there. So
I'm impressed that you went from sort of step 1 to step 2, because a lot of people have these sort of hobbies and things that they do, and it could be a business, and they think, well, maybe I should make a business. But step 2 for you was getting on that airplane and flying to LA. How hard a decision was that to make that leap?
That, to me, it wasn't that hard because I thought I have nothing to lose. And I think it was important that I had parents that were like, go do it. Do it. You having and my husband, a support network that just kind of pushes you. I still to this day, a year later, year and a half, I mean, probably forever, I question myself, like, what am I doing? Can I do this?
We do that
forever.
We do that. We do that in the podcast. We do it in a real estate business.
I do it every day. I walk in the office.
Waking up.
Am I doing here?
You know what though? That's actually a valuable skill to have as an entrepreneur, because it makes you look for opportunities. You wake up every day and you go, what can I do better today than I did yesterday?
And that's I think it's a snowball too. I think taking a first step to do something is the hardest. And the next step might be a tiny bit easier, and then a tiny bit easier. And then you start believing in yourself more, the more things that you do that you thought were hard.
The more success you have.
Right. Yeah. I'm definitely hesitant to use this word, but I consider you fearless almost at that point. I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of fear surrounding it, but just like on the outside looking in, wow, like when Steve said taking
Glenna,
that...
you can tell her that's not true. Because people say the same thing about me sometimes. They're like, well, man, you just jumped right in. It's like, well, I was worried it wasn't going to work. But I'm still going to move forward.
I went batshit crazy around the time of pot. It was about this time last year, wasn't it, Steve?
Was. Yes, it was.
But you kept moving forward. You did it. And y'all have had some great people on.
We have. It's been fun. It's been very nurturing for us.
But when you look at there's excitement in that fear, right? It's like
the unknown is fun.
Yeah, it's like where is this going to take me? But when he said you went from step 1 to step 2, and you're step 2, to me that was like step 1 to step 10.
No, step 10 will be when I make money. Right? I put it all back in because I'm trying to grow. So
what is it looking at like right now? You have a website. Are you in stores also? Or?
My first, yes. I mean, I've gone to every boutique and store, I think, in Austin, Dallas. I'm working on Houston. But my first yes was actually right here locally at Flying Fish, which was amazing local support. So they were one of the first people I approached. That's where we take swim lessons. I'm like, okay, this could be a win-win. So they've reordered a couple times from me, and we throw their logo on my shirts, and they resell them in their store. So yeah, I mean, it's, I'm working on getting into some more stores. I'm in a couple more stores. I'm in a couple online websites. I'll be in a really nice boutique in Dallas in a couple months. So a
lot of people don't think about that part of what you do. Is you're an entrepreneur that makes clothing, but you basically have 10 different hats, right? Your sales, your marketing, your production, your, processing, your warehousing, you got all these things.
Like, what's the biggest
you got to be
issue
good
today?
at all of them, or the business doesn't work.
What is the biggest thing that you think has surprised you about being in this business, either about yourself or the business in general?
I think the support from other moms that are also trying to figure out kind of what am I outside of also being a mom. And with all of us supporting each other, I mean, there's been some friends of mine that have now started their own little companies because they're like, okay, I can do this. Let's move forwards. And I think just having that positive energy around you where, they're happy for you when you do good things. There's no jealousy. I think that's really important. And,
lifting you up.
Yeah.
And you're not forcing people to go to any multi-level marketing.
No, I've never done that.
Yeah.
I think, sometimes I see those social media posts and I roll my eyes and I'm like, you are not an entrepreneur.
That's a good way to lose a lot of friends
but
real
then
fast.
it's also, maybe that's just what they got to do to get by. I don't know, but
I feel like it's such a disservice to a lot of these stay-home moms that they're being fed this just load of malarkey from these companies, and they're taking their money and they're investing. What was the legging company? The
LuLaRoe.
LuLaRoe, and these women.
Was that a multi-level marketing thing?
Big time, and it was a big scandal around it. And I just think they take advantage of these women that are looking to stay home with their children, but yet earn a little bit of extra income. And I was watching something the other day on TikTok, and they were talking about earn this passive income, and you can quit your full-time job. And this,
I see those too.
Yeah, and the realist came on. She goes, "It's crap. You're gonna work your butt off.
Yeah, work for 6 months before you even see a penny.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, and if it seems too good to be true, it's too good.
Yeah, if it's the easy road, it's not true.
Ooh, if it's the easy road, then it's not right.
Or I'm doing the wrong thing.
Yeah. What was the biggest challenge you had when you started this company up?
I mean, the biggest challenge was putting all the pieces together at the right time. So having to, source the fabric, the heat press tags, the labels, making sure that everything was, approved by, there's governing bodies in the U.S.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
trademarks.
ask. Is there do you have to have, does your fabric, do your shirts have to go
Do you have
somewhere
to have those
and get
big long tags that are like 8 inches long? That
or
have
get
all the
approval for okay, if you say this is UPF 50, do you have to have it certified as?
Well, it gets tested at the fabric. The manufacturer has to test it under their own lights as well. And so then there's a certification number that comes with that. So I make sure that I have all of that for sure. And your tags do have to say certain things. They have to say, what the fabric's made of, how to wash it, usually a serial number so everything can be traced back. All those things I had to learn.
Who oversees that part of it? Is there some guy that drives around looking at clothes to make sure the tags are right?
There might be. I wish he would go away.
From the federal tag office?
Yeah, if you were in violation of that, you're right. Who
I don't know who keeps
who tells you that you're in violation of it.
I think something bad has to happen for it to pop off.
If somebody caught on fire or something like that.
Yeah,
I guess to be kids clothes too, it has to be a certain fire retardant too, right?
It does. I have not had to deal with that yet. I have noticed some clothes, like Old Navy, you'll see they've had to add additional tags that says this is, fire resistant, fire repellent. But I have not had to deal with that yet.
So when the tags though, those are designed and made at your manufacturer, the people that manufacture your clothing?
Well, everything to me is outsourced and I piecemeal it together. And that was just kind of the strategy I went with. Some manufacturers do everything.
So when you say piecemeal it together, you're getting the tags from one vendor and the clothing from another, and they're being sewn in, or are you sewing them in?
Are you designing?
I'm designing.
Okay.
And then I'm ordering them from a company, and then they'll mail the tags to my manufacturer. I'll order the fabric from another company. They'll mail it to my manufacturer.
And you're picking the color schemes and what
design the prints. I design the styles. I'll go through rounds of fittings because we'll have to make what the patterns. We'll have to make 5 versions of one pattern to make sure it's a true 2T. It's a true 5T. And
that's interesting. The sizes too.
It is, because every brand kind of the sizes are a little different. So I get it home and then I drive around High Point and I have all the 3-year-olds I know try it on. And that's kind of what I've been doing.
I love that market testing.
You should do some little mommy and me type clothes too.
I would love to.
Match.
I would love to.
Actually, you and Michelle need to talk, because she has an idea for a men's clothing company like Garanimals, where we can match the you'll have
the
like
giraffe and the giraffe, but I want to do
but
a
it'd be a
tool version.
wrench and a hammer, so that instead of me standing in my closet for 15 minutes like a deer in the headlights every morning going, what am I going to wear?
Do you dress your
I
husband?
just pull a hammer and a... No,
do you dress your husband, or when you go out, do you say, I want you to wear this, this, and this?
Sometimes.
Okay, my husband needs 100% help all the time.
You make him on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
He works from home right now, so normally it's like gray. But if he's out with me, I try to get him to coordinate with what I'm wearing.
If we're taking pictures, I like him to coordinate.
Yeah, so I pretty much dress him, but I think it would be such a good idea that if he just could pull out the hammer shirt and it would match the hammer pants, right? And
You need to do
I like that.
shirts, pants, socks, shoes.
Yes.
Because that's how we are.
Yeah. And like if you're wearing colored shoes, you're not wearing your white socks that are hanging out above your ankle.
wear white socks.
Oh,
I got
no,
my
that's
blue
what Todd
socks
does.
on.
Okay, so you have blue socks on. But yeah, so there's
The
a
work from home has hurt my husband works from home too. He's a CPA. He used to go into an office 5 days a week. He would look very nice in a button down slacks. He wears a barbecue shirt every single day. And it's like the same two he rotates.
I wonder if we're going to go back to getting dressed up again, because we're dressing down a little bit now after COVID too.
You know, when I
Nice.
worked in an office back when in the mid 90s, because it was before Logan, but I was required to wear pantyhose. And one time I sprained my ankle. We were out tubing and I sprained my ankle pretty bad and I had it wrapped and I didn't wear pantyhose that day and I got written
Oh
up
my gosh,
for not
jeez.
wearing pantyhose.
Wow.
Yeah.
It
was an
company I
accounting
was at
firm. It was an
did
accounting
that.
firm.
You were required to wear pantyhose too and wear your hair down. And
Yeah, in San Antonio, like, you know, it's 157 degrees.
They probably don't have that policy anymore.
I bet
I'm
they
sure
don't.
they don't, and they're not keeping
don't
any
think so.
employees.
No, but I bet you were like, there were probably certain things that you were required to wear a
Well,
tie.
when I
or-
joined KW in 2006, 2007, you couldn't go into the office. I think it was, you couldn't wear jeans, couldn't wear tennis shoes, had to have a button-down shirt. And
It started that when I started here, because I came in with jeans one day and Judy said, you know, that's probably not KW approved. And I just, what did I
now
do?
we got,
I wore them
now we got
again.
agents in the office with flip-flops and t-shirts
Yeah,
and shorts.
and it's
but-
trendy.
It is.
Yeah, I know.
Yoga pants are trendy.
Yeah. Glenna, do you ever have days where you think, what the heck am I doing here?
In my life.
Yeah, in your
Every
life.
day.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes, yeah. I mean, I think the struggle is how much of me to devote towards a mom. Neither one of my
Yeah.
kids are in the school system yet, so they spend the majority of their time with me. And so having to struggle between growing the business and being a good mom, being a good wife, daughter, making sure everything gets done at home, it's hard. And so some days I'm like, okay, really, who am I? Am I an entrepreneur who wants to grow a business? Am I a good mom? Am I what? And
Yeah.
I think just being grateful for what I have and the opportunities and, you know, thankful gets me through.
That's
Yeah.
being honest though, too. You know, I think
Yeah.
a lot of moms struggle with that, whether you're working outside of the home, inside of the home, or just staying home with your children, is that a lot of moms struggle
But
with
that's
that.
also an entrepreneur thing where, because this is the 5th or 6th business I've done since I was a young adult, and it is constantly there. You're thinking, am I doing the right thing? Am I moving forward? Should I be doing something else? That never goes away. And it's
No,
part of being
it is.
an
And
entrepreneur.
I love the podcast, How I Built This by Guy Raz.
Yeah.
And so I listened to his, and almost every single person on there, they're not this crazy, you know, intelligent, know everything person. They just kept moving forwards every day with what they believed in. And that motivates me too.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the hardest part of building your brand, do you think?
I would say brand awareness, not having a lot of money for marketing, big companies that can easily knock you off. I mean, it would be very easy to do that, but you just have to believe that people are going to be loyal to you, and you provide something different that other brands don't.
What are you doing to grow your brand right now?
I do a lot of different things. So, promoting on social is one thing, which to me, that's kind of the easy part. I don't spend a lot of money on ads there. This is all, been self-funded. So trying to grow fast on my own penny is very difficult.
Yeah.
I do pop-ups all the time all around Austin. I've done some in Dallas. I'm going to do some in Houston.
I know what it is, but
Like Christmas on Mercer. Last year I had a
okay.
booth
You
there
had a
and
booth,
had a great
okay.
day. I'm trying to be more intentional with the ones I do now that are really geared towards, grandmas or moms that really see a value in this. Partnering with larger companies that are nationwide who their target audience are moms, and then they can promote me. I've been working on getting some partnerships there to roll out in the spring of 2023. So I'm just sending samples to companies to carry it. I'm just shooting all the shots and see what hits.
Yeah, that's what we do in our real estate business too. People go, I've heard of you. And I'll say, do you remember where you heard of us? And they go, I don't know. And it's, it's one of the 50 things we do every month to build our brand.
When somebody asks you what you do for a living, what's your elevator speech you give to them?
I have to give that one a lot, because I used to be like, well, I'm home with my 2 kids. I'm like, well, I am, but I'm also like do this like 90% of my time.
Yes.
I say, well, I started because of my kids, seeing how sweaty they were when they play outside, I ended up starting a kids clothing company, and it's just kind of snowballed into something I really enjoy and get to involve my family and friends in. And I'm just going to see where it takes me. So,
I love that. That's a great elevator speech.
Thanks.
What do you think you've learned about yourself as you've gone on this journey with a clothing company?
So many things. I mean, I think that, learning that self-doubt, it's not going to drive you anywhere, and that if you really just kind of believe in yourself and what you're doing, even if you take the smallest baby step, literally baby step every day, or even if it's every other day towards whatever your goals are, and not losing sight of that, those are going to develop into bigger steps. And I just think that's really important to just keep moving forwards, because you're always going to doubt yourself no matter what you're doing.
That's exactly right.
I have an unusual question. What do you think your family has learned about you that you think that they didn't know?
I mean, I've always been pretty headstrong and opinionated.
That's probably why
I think they probably knew that before.
Hard-headed too.
Yeah. You have to be hard-headed in what you're doing.
You do. I mean, I think they've learned perseverance, and that, I mean, for the end of March, April, I was really in a down spot. I was exhausted with the 2 kids, and didn't really know what my next move was. And I think turning that into a positive and like, okay, let's really do something here. I think that
tenacity,
shows that, you really could take a crappy situation and turn it into something that is good and positive, and be thankful for what happened.
Your kids are going to learn a lot from that.
Absolutely.
As you grow the business and they grow up watching you, they're going to learn a lot.
You may not see that right now, but looking back in my life, my youngest is 22. There is a lot that I think I taught my children that I didn't even know at the time I was teaching them.
Yeah.
And, just to
good
keep going.
Bad.
Yeah, good and bad.
No,
good and bad.
But that's good, because that's life. I mean, life's not all good. And I've learned so much from my parents too. Not in the moment when you're growing up in middle school or high school, you're thinking about yourself then. Yeah. But I think once you become a parent, then you think about your parents and everything that they had to go through to be a good parent. And you're so thankful for them, and you understand decisions that they made you might not have understood at the time. And that's a good thing.
I tell my daughter the same thing.
Part when my kids kind of get what I did to them when they were growing up.
Well, when they start seeing you as an actual person instead of just dad, your title is just dad. And I told my daughter the same thing. One day you're not going to just see me as mom. You're going to see me as a woman too. And you're going to understand why I was in your business, why I did the things I did. And, not all of it I was proud of, and I didn't always act appropriately towards
that's
you.
okay.
That's the other part about being a parent, though, right? They don't give you the little owner's manual as you leave the hospital
I
with
used
the baby.
To tell
you
my
make
kids,
it up as you
that's
go.
That's why I'd say I make this shit up as I go.
I don't care how
along.
many Dr. Spock books you read. You're making it up every day.
100%.
Yeah.
But I think what's cool is that parenthood's like a commonality that I would say most of the world has above anything else. And we all do it differently, and a lot of us do it the same. And it's just a shared experience that we can all talk about, which is just, so interesting and fascinating. And it's probably one of the most difficult things to do, because you're always questioning yourself. Am I doing the right thing? How are they going to turn out?
And it goes on for years and years.
It changes. The things that you think about with things.
It changes. The challenges change, but it does. My oldest is 27
We're
now,
trying to figure out what our place is on our kids' lives now. That's the stage that we're in right now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're just like, the other day, Kendall asked me, my daughter asked me a question. She was, her job is taking her all over places. And she's like, I'm thinking about moving to Houston. And, my inclination is to just like strong-willed, headstrong. That's a stupid idea. And Todd was in the car, and I said, you know what, honey? you do what you feel you and Jacob need to do.
Ooh, there
And I
was a-
hung up the phone and I was like,
Oh,
are you
you're-
proud of me? Like
I'm
that
proud
hurt.
of you for doing that.
That was sweaty.
Yeah.
Todd goes, we need to let our kids make mistakes.
That's
And I was
a
like,
good
oh,
answer.
but
What
I
was
was
the next thing you said is let's go get a drink?
I was sweaty after that conversation. I'm
You can
sweaty
do that
right
after
now.
you hang up the phone.
I'm breaking out in the hives
Yeah.
right now. Just
Does she
thinking
live
of-
here? How old is she?
She lives here. She's just got married. So
Okay.
yeah.
Why don't you want her to go to Houston?
Well, I just don't want her to go.
leave?
I don't
It's
want
too
her to
far
leave.
away,
It is.
yeah.
I have one that lives in California right now. He's
Okay.
stationed away, and I just want all my
Babies
babies
to be here?
I just
Yeah.
I just love my kids.
Well, maybe she'll come back.
she's not moving.
probably
Oh, she won't.
She
Okay.
not
She just
moving.
wants to scare you.
She doesn't. She
Yeah.
just likes to mess with me.
Glenna, what's your favorite part of what you do and your least favorite part? Start with the favorite part. What's the most favorite
Maybe they
thing
could
that
be
you
the
do?
same thing.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
I think my favorite part is being able to independently make the decisions that I want to make daily to move it forwards, instead of being told by somebody. When you work for somebody that's, you feel like they're out of touch with what
Yeah.
goes down on the ground level, which I think happens in a lot of large corporations. And my favorite part is, my two kids were my first models. And so that's fun that I get to
That's
involve
cool.
them. I can throw ideas around with my family and they all have different perspectives. I mean, I love that, being able to talk about it. And I love being able to meet other people when I do the vendor fairs and get feedback. And my least favorite part, honestly, right now is not making any money, not taking home any money, which is a choice that I've chosen, because it's also a quantity game, the apparel industry. You need more clothes to be able to diversify kind of where you're selling. And so it's been a smart move. And so far we've been able to manage me not being able to take a salary yet. And so I'm looking forward to that one day, because in my head, I feel like that's when it's successful, is that, okay, this isn't a hobby. So hopefully we'll get there soon. But
You know what? I actually don't know where they get this statistic, but they say that 80% of the people that would make it with the business that they have quit right before they make it to the step where they start making money, which I don't know how you'd measure that, because you'd have to figure out who did make it and who didn't. But
right.
That's the lesson there, is perseverance. Even when it gets really hard and you think, who's the guy from The Office that, I can't remember his name, but he was telling a story last week about, he told himself he moved to New York and he was going to be an actor in 2 years, and he, worked in restaurants.
John Cruise.
Yeah.
No, that one.
Look it up. Anyway, he said he called his mom in September and he said, I'm done. I'm quitting. I'm coming home. And she said, well, you said 2 years, and 2 years is in December. And she said, why don't you stick it out until December? Yeah. John Krasinski.
Oh, Krasinski.
Krasinski. Yeah.
He's great.
And so he said, okay, I'll do it. And 3 weeks later, he got that part in The Office.
Yeah.
And he
that's
was ready to
perseverance.
quit.
Yeah.
So perseverance.
Yeah, definitely not ready to quit. And I think, the average is 3 years before a company starts
That's right.
making
And the longer you're in it, the more chance you have for success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Improving.
Perseverance. Yeah.
It's even like the podcast. I think I've talked about this before. When Steve first brought the idea about it, I took the thing I normally do and I micromanaged the heck out of it, and just, thought about all the things that could have happened instead of just like working on the step one. How about step one? We figure out if we're even able to do it. And I was already into 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and like looking into the long term. And, that was a big mistake.
Can't get your head over your skis.
And I was
Glenna, you and I are a lot alike. It's like, I don't know how we're going to get there, but like when you went to LA, you were like, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do in LA, but when we get there, we're going to figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And I would have had every store mapped out, who to talk to. And that's probably one of my biggest faults, where I set up obstacles that aren't even there yet.
But it compliments somebody like me, because I tend to just shoot from the hip sometimes and go in guns blazing, and you sometimes go, whoa, let's plan that out a little bit.
Well, I'll text you like in the morning. I'm like, thoughts of Michelle at 3 a.m. Like, this is what I was. Hey, did you think of? Brrr? He's like, oh yeah.
You're my husband in this situation. The
See?
accountant. I'm like, it'll work out, babe.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
Well, I've got something you probably don't know. You put on your little bio that you swam with sharks in Fiji. You are our second guest that has swam with sharks.
Really?
Tate's the first
Yeah,
one.
my kid.
But
Okay, cool.
he's a Coast Guard rescue swimmer.
Not
Okay.
intentionally. He
Not
doesn't.
intentionally.
he swam with sharks out in the open
His was
water.
probably a lot scarier than
They were not invited. His sharks aren't invited. Therefore, everything I give him, I can. Like I got shark wrapping paper again this year. It's like it's always
How
sharks.
cool.
I torture him.
How
with sharks.
was that though? When
Well,
you
I guess the more you know about them, they aren't as aggressive as you would think.
Unless you look like a seal in the middle of the
Unless
Pacific
they're
Ocean.
really hungry
Yeah.
and you're bothering
Yeah.
them. No, I mean so it was a scuba trip. Love to go scuba diving. Haven't been since I had kids, but my dad's an avid scuba diver, and we were in Fiji. And one of the days we got to go down and feed sharks, and it was just I was very scared at first,
Yeah.
but then you get down there and you're like, okay, we're an assembly line to them of just like giving them food. They're used to this. I mean, it was like they were puppies. I mean, not a puppy. It was still scary. I mean, you had to be very tight in a line to kind of make you look bigger, and they knew that they had to go around you because they saw you. But that was an amazing.
What does that mean?
experience.
Look tight and like
Like kind of almost shoulder to shoulder with the scuba diver next to you.
Oh, so you looked like one big
Yeah,
unit.
yeah, you did.
and not a tasty treat.
Not a just little floating Swiss cake roll.
What are you giving them? What were you giving them to?
The instructors, the dive masters would be the ones feeding them the chum out of a big bucket because that would draw them into you, and so they would throw it out in
that
front of
just
you, and
sounds
they just
scary
go
to me.
fast. It was, but it was also like, I'm here, I have to do this. This is
Yeah.
like once in a lifetime
Yeah.
thing. I have to do.
Yeah,
this.
going to Fiji just by itself, but then
gosh,
swimming
yeah.
with sharks.
Yeah, that was pretty.
And then
fun.
you recently went to Banff National Park in Canada.
I did. So my mom is actually Canadian. And so when she retired, her and my stepdad built a house in British Columbia, and they live there in the summers. They don't enjoy the Texas heat.
Yeah.
And so fortunately, my husband and I get to go up every summer. And this summer, my husband and I took a little trip alone up to Banff, which was, we love to be outside and hiking. And so that's kind of like one of the epitome places to go. And
Really?
that was an amazing trip. So
See any bears?
we didn't see any bears. We saw elk and mooses and, I mean, all kinds of animals, all kinds of birds. A bear might make me nervous. I get nervous with the two little boys there if they see a bear, but it would be cool from far away.
Yeah.
They've seen numerous bears though.
Oh, have they? Yeah. We went all the way up to Alaska and we were there 9 days and I never saw a bear.
No?
And then my buddy went, and the first day he was there, he saw like 5.
Bad timing.
Yeah. What do you think your next adventure is?
Oh, I don't know.
I can tell you as an entrepreneur, it's good for you to have one on the horizon all the time.
I do.
Even if it's a year down the road.
Yeah,
have
I
one
need to
on the
have
horizon.
something. I mean, listen, I didn't know you put on the Run by the Creek,
Yeah.
so I did that 3 weeks ago.
Oh,
and
cool.
I think you even handed me a medal maybe, and I didn't know. it
Oh,
was you.
really?
So I got
That's
third
funny.
in my age group. I think there were
Oh,
like
good for
5
you.
of us, but that doesn't
Hey,
matter.
That's all right.
So I'm doing a half marathon on Sunday, which I'm very excited about. So something that really interests me is getting more into triathlon. So
cool.
that is an adventure that I'd like to
I feel
partake
that
in.
dripping is becoming more and more of an athletic community.
Yeah.
It
really is.
Not me included, but congratulations. Kudos to those that are doing
I
that.
feel like there were way more bikers though, road bikes 20 years ago before the roads got really busy that would go up and down Fitzhugh, and now there aren't
go
as
out
many.
on
It's not as safe.
It depends on the time of day. If you go out on a Sunday morning, like out towards Wimberley, Creek Road, Mount Sharp, all that, there's a lot of cyclists out there because they're trying to stay away from all the traffic. But after about 11 o'clock on a Sunday, I don't even want to be on the roads around town here. There's way too many cars.
Yeah, definitely.
So if there's one thing that you want our listeners to know about Cool Little Ones, what would that
Go
be?
buy it.
Go buy it. Just kidding. So go to the website, coollittle.ones.com.
No,
Did you build your own website?
I did it all. I did.
It's
Which
a
it
good
needs,
little
it
website.
needs some facelifts and all that, but I only have so much time. I try to work a little bit on it every week, and I'll email myself in the middle of the night things to do. And
You got to prioritize where you spend your
Well,
time.
and I think you should also reach out to the high school because they are always looking for intern placements for
That's a great
semester,
idea.
and they can help
do they have
you.
classes? That website building
Yes,
classes?
I will connect you with the person.
I would love that.
Yeah.
I would love that.
They'll have interns that can help you with all kinds of things.
Videos.
Well, I need a trendy high schooler to help me with social media
Yeah,
too.
us
that
too.
knows how to do all that because
Yeah.
Me at my age, I'm like, I just push record. I don't know what to do after that.
Yeah. Well, we're not near as good as you are, but what do you think's next for you?
Just, keep moving forwards and growing the company is what's next. My oldest will start kindergarten in the school system next year, so that'll give me some more hours, which is great. And I'd like to get more involved with the community when that starts. And so I'm just, excited for all of that and some more time to devote towards this, but then also, have the flexibility to, spend time with my kids and help them where they need help.
Do you see yourself ever having a brick and mortar, or are you just ever going to?
No, I think that for me that wouldn't be a good strategy. Just so much overhead there and, a one-stop shop, but I would like to be in more brick and mortars.
Yes.
I want them to do I want to just sell to them and then they do all the work after that. So,
or get bought out and somebody to, just
that,
give you
my
a ton of
ultimate
money.
goal would be to be bought out in 10 years by Dick's or something like that. So, but
or Reebok or Nike.
Somebody.
We'll read about you in the paper. Yeah.
I would love that, but
$1 billion. There's the price tag.
Woman-owned
It's a
business.
great idea. It's a really good idea. And I think, if you're out there slathering your kids with sunscreen every time they go swimming and you could just pop a shirt on them or a hat or a headband, that's the way to go. Well, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
We like having entrepreneurs on because there's a lot of people out there that have ideas and they're scared to start them.
Just take the first
You're
step.
a perfect example of what you can do if you put your mind to it.
Well, also to have a homegrown girl here talk about your business and your family, and just full circle. You are now raising your kids here in Dripping Springs, so that says something.
It's still a great school district. So.
It is, and we're going to look forward to seeing what happens with cool little ones down the road.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Glenna Devonport, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallett Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at mallettintegrityteam.com.
Thanks for listening. If you have comments or feedback, please email us at mallettandmichelle@gmail.com.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Mallett and Michelle.
Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
New episodes every Tuesday, and leave us a review.